just when you thought that we would have a really good front court in the NBA, Andre Drummond is expected to actually opt out and go to the Dallas Mavericks, which I think is a really good fit for him. So shout out to him if that's really his case. But what does that mean for the Chicago Bulls? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P. Keep it the Windy City Breeze. Let's just get into the topic, man. We have just been breaking news for the Bulls for the last 2 days, right? Vooch re-signed $60 million over 3, which is a really good value for his skill set. Again, I still view him as a top 10 center statistically, and in a lot of respects he is. Some people could sit there and fight that, but guess what? Argue with your mama is just the facts. But now when it comes to what we absolutely needed, we're losing the bench in the sense of we have no rebounders off the bench at this particular point. Now I know we've signed some centers or some rebounders rather in the draft and things of that nature, and free agency is right around. We're having, it's early. It's like a lot. It's too soon for me to sit there and make anything definitive. But at the same time, Andre Drummond is a heck of a value for what he gets. I mean, Andre Drummond has come into many games and put up a double in like a quarter. He is a really good value. And so ultimately, while I'm not going to talk about why he did opt out, I do want to talk about the impact on the Bulls and what this does for us moving forward. And I think it really boils down to two things. I think with the reports of Andre opting out, also some of the reports of Nikola Vucevic wanting more touches, this really puts more of an emphasis on how Billy Donovan utilizes the team and the talent we have there. I've said this many times. We have the talent. We have more talent than a lot of teams who got further in the playoffs. I'm looking at Miami. Yes, I said it. You walk and sit there and say, well, it's the Jimmy Butler. Skip what you heard. They have the culture, the coach, and the right mentality and players on that team. But they don't have more talent than the Chicago Bulls. So guess what? Starting from the top down, if you develop the right culture, you get the right coach. We have the players. You have to make that work. So that's where my stance is on that. If you disagree with that, put it in the chat. I will love to go back and forth with you on it. But at the end of the day, we have the talent. And I've said it many times. I don't know why we didn't see more of Andre Drummond. Many people will say, well, look at what happens when he comes in. And I will sit there and tell you all this. Do your research. In today's age of social media and things of that nature, we have so many players who've come out and said, hey, you can't expect someone to be effective if you use them so sparingly. Oh, you want me to be a knockdown shooter, but you put me in for 2 minutes in one quarter and then 3 minutes and 3 minutes in the third quarter. And then, oh my gosh, it's fourth quarter and it's like you really need this bucket, but I've been cold all day because I ain't got no touches. It's really hard to do that, even on a professional level. Now, some people say, well, you get millions of dollars to do it. That has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. It's really hard to be put into that situation and succeed. So for those who do, those are very special talents. Shout out to them, things of that nature. But if you really pay attention to how the games are played in just NBA and basketball in general, very rarely does that work out, especially for those who are shooters and are rhythm shooters. Everyone likes to go back to the Ray Allens of the world, but not realizing that Ray Allen was at one point, a freaking superstar and one of the best shooters in NBA history. Period. He is the 1% of the 1% when it comes to shooting. So you can't compare those type of players to that situation. But oftentimes that's what happens. You want to look at those knockdown shooters who, again, are the 1% of the 1% in shooting in NBA history. You can't do that. So with all that being said, Andre Drummond is the same way. Andre Drummond was a starter in this league, and he still can be a starter in this league. There's not many bigs that have two dominant wing players or two dominant guards that can do what he does. So to be able to play off of that. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I've rarely seen it. He's the perfect big man for a team that has a heavy offensive backcourt. You don't believe me? Think of it like this. What does Andre Drummond do the best? In fact, Andre Drummond has been in a bench role for the last 2 years. He still has one of the highest rebounding averages in league history. I think he's still top 20 in league history when it comes to rebounding averages, meaning that's all that man does. He also can be a very big defensive presence if utilized right. At one point, Andre Drummond was nearly 20 and 15, I believe. I know he was 17 and 13 at one point. Guess what? If your big man is giving you those big numbers, that's a really good big man. That's Andre Drummond. And so this right there, we're losing the potential. Let's say Vooch goes down. We're losing the potential to have a big man that we can absolutely utilize and play off of. Simply because, one, I think he's opting out for a bigger role. And honestly, he should. He was not utilized right. He was not utilized right many of times. Many people said, well, I have actually said, why didn't we see a Vooch in a Andre Drummond of lineup? We said, well, two bigs don't work. Are you kidding me? Two bigs have worked plenty of times. Plenty of times. Especially in the setup that we had. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to make it seem like I'm a savant on coaching and things of that nature. But what I am saying is, out of all the things that we did see, all the things that we ultimately come to know, we didn't see a lot of play through the post or play through the big man. And that's going to impact us a lot. We didn't play through Vooch a lot. In fact, the games in which we did, we went away from him when he was cooking. There's several games, and again, we call every game on this channel. There's several games where you'll hear Vooch go off for 6 to 8 straight points, and then now we're passing. No, man, if you don't feed that man the ball and let him cook, let him cook. The name of the game is to win, not sit there and let that man cook. If that's the mismatch, if he's eating down there, you do that until they fix it. That's the name of the game. But that's not what we were seeing in Chicago. Now, what does that have to do with Andre Drummond? Again, this for me boils down to utilization, Billy Donovan's coaching. Andre Drummond was a surefire way to come in and get some rebounding that Vooch provided when he wasn't getting much help. Everyone talked about our 4. Mind you, we had P. Will paying the 4. Loudest 4 rebounds a game you ever see. You all swear up and down that this is someone who helps in that regard. Loudest 4 rebounds you ever see. He wasn't really helping in that regard. So now we have to find more rebounders or develop a culture or system that allows them to gain rebound and give Vooch some help down there. Everyone claims that Vooch is a bad defender. Watch the games. Vooch oftentimes has to be the help defender when someone else is getting beat, and that's a drop off when he slides over. But if you watch the games, you know that. If you see how the schemes are played, you know that. Has nothing to do with him being a bad defender one-on-one. He's not a bad defender against his big. There are some. Listen, these are the best athletes in the world. You're not going to stop anybody, but you can make it tough, you can make it difficult, and you can also get them out of rhythm. But all-star bigs, superstar bigs, they're going to get their points. They're going to get their money. If it's not from them beating you one-on-one, it's from them getting to the line, because that's what they are paid to do. And that's how the league is now called. So Vooch is not bad in that respect, but he's oftentimes left on the island. That's not Vooch's fault. That's not Vooch's fault at all. That's also what put that same situation. So I mention that because when Vooch is in those situations and he is picking up those fouls, now who comes in and can you depend on to actually get those rebounds? I'm still trying to figure out who that exact person will be. Because to me, losing him at his value of what he was getting, that's a significant loss. We go from needing shooting to we now need a point guard shooting and potentially some rebounding, because that's a huge loss. Unless all of a sudden P. Will is going to become this phenom on a rebounding tip. All of a sudden the Bulls are going to bring that same mentality that they had defensively into rebounding as well. Because 2 of the things that we got killed in all the time was rebounding and points in the paint. And threes. So again, this is a bigger loss than most people want to give credit to. And again, this is in connection with how he supports Vooch. This is in connection to how he helps us with rebounding, how he also helps us on the defensive end. That's a big body. That's an agile. I saw him in person twice last year. I used to think Andre Drummond was really awkward running down the court and things of that nature. No, he's just freakishly huge. He's just a big dude. Like there's very few players I've seen in person, and we had pretty good seats. So it's very few players I've seen in person. I was just like overly impressed with like just their stature. Andre Drummond was one of them. I was like, that dude is big and he shouldn't be moving that fast. But he ran the floor well, defended well, had a really good game when we saw him. So again, got to see him twice. He was cooking. Went away from him. Got it in 5 minutes. Yeah. Didn't see him again for another 2 quarters. You can't do that. Now, again, it's hard to sit there and do that with Andre Drummond, who is a starter caliber big in my opinion. And you also have Vooch, who is a better offensive player. I do give Vooch this. He is a better offensive player. So that is the conundrum there. I do get that. But I also felt like Vooch had the ability to do. I felt like they could have played on the floor together. I really do. I really feel like that could have happened. I felt like if anyone remembers the Lakers when they won the championship in 2020, they played 2 bigs. Worked out fine. No one could get to the hole. Rebounded them. They all ran the floor. Andre Drummond could have had that same situation. But again, that's just me being biased because again, I've always felt like Billy Donovan never utilized him right. So maybe I'm grasping at straws a little bit, but at the end of the day, it is something that we have to be concerned about because now where does Billy Donovan go? Who does he bring in? Are we going to finally see Marco? Marco is like 7'10" and don't even get it, but he's like a double-double in the G League. Like, what happens now? So to me, this is going to be one of those things where this is going to be all on Billy Donovan, and maybe just maybe this could be addition by subtraction because now if you do have to are forced to play Marco and Marco comes in and he's serviceable and things of that nature, maybe now you found more continuity within your locker room and more camaraderie within your locker room because now you don't have contention as to who should be starting and who shouldn't. Because I absolutely feel that Andre Drummond felt like he should be a starting center. And he is a starting center. There's not 30 centers better than Andre Drummond. Like, this is not the Pat Bev thing. Like, there's 30 point guards better than Patrick Beverly. I don't care what nobody say. There's 30 point guards better than Patrick Beverly. There's not 30 centers better than Andre Drummond. I give you 15, but then you right there, which means there's a team that could use him. There's a team that probably needs him. And the Dallas Mavericks seem to be a really good landing spot for him because they've moved on, but they also need someone who can rebound, who can defend, because they were getting killed in the paint. They were getting killed in several places. So this is a great spot for him. And again, Andre Drummond is still relatively young. I don't think people realize that. I think people think that Andre Drummond, who's been around for a while, is a lot older than he is. He's not. So this is actually a significant move for him, and I also think that this gives this is 2 things. One, either gives us the ability to use more of the people that we've already seen, and builds through subtraction in the Bulls locker room, or this has now put more pressure on AK to actually get some other people in there, put Billy more pressure on Billy to actually get the team to buy into a particular system, or for him to adjust his system, and ultimately puts us in this awkward space. Many people will say, and I quote, and I'm just quoting this, that Bulls are in NBA hell because we have too much talent, but not a good direction, or too little talent and key pieces and no way to really utilize them. Not my words. It's actually a report. I'm drawing a blank on exactly what the report is, but I literally read it right before I came on here. And so I would say, hey, this is now officially a Billy Donovan thing. And I wouldn't be opposed. I don't care if he's been extended or not. I wouldn't be opposed to moving on from a coach if he's not sitting there steering this team in the right direction. I think this ultimately now is Billy needs to go ahead and make sure that people are in the right positions to win. And he needs to do what's best for the team at all times, as opposed to trying to stick to a particular system and adjusting too late. Because there's many times for both bigs, for both Vooch and Andre Drummond, that I think he adjusted way too late. He went away from them too soon, and he didn't get people to buy into the concept of winning over trying to buy into an ideology that he wanted to see work on the floor. And to me, good coaches adjust their game plan to the talent that they have to maximize that ability and to encourage and promote that within those players. And that's exactly what you saw in Miami. Miami's Coach Spo has a very hard-nosed game plan. The Miami Heat had a very small window of error. The margin of error for them was so small, it was ridiculous. So the fact that they were able to pull it off and get to the finals with it and actually catch a game, phenomenal. But that's also a coach who's been there. It's also a pedigree. It's also a whole host of things that right now we're struggling with, and it starts from the top. And right now we're losing players, but because of it, in my opinion. But I want to hear your thoughts, man. I want to hear ultimately where you are with it. Is this a loss? Is this a big loss? Is this one of those things that we're going to struggle to replace? I mean, he's 10 and 10 off the bench easy, and that's not even me being like, that's not even me fluffing. It's not even me exaggerating. Andre Drummond can get you a double off the bench. No one in the league is going to deny that. No one who's a true fan of basketball is going to deny. Andre Drummond get you a double off the bench. Now you've lost that. Now where do you go? Who's your next big? Who do you bring in to help Vooch? I want to hear your thoughts. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, put it in the comments. I'll be in there with you. Till next time.